brother, brother. XInYourFace.com. So spell it out. Let me spell it one more time. XINYAFACEDOTCOM. You spell the whole thing out. Rise and Love family, it is I, XInYourFace.com. And I'm saying brother right at the beginning because I'm like, hey, I really wish I had my setup with the lighting in front of the window down to a science, because the setup and the tweaking and the setup and the tweaking and the tweaking will leave me tweaking sometimes. Okay, so I wanted to set this stuff up and give myself room and space to do some reflection that I actually remarked on a couple of days ago. I was fortunate enough to be invited as a part of, one of my collective efforts and community building efforts locally to meet with like a well-known community leader, somebody who's been around in our area for more than 2 decades, kind of doing different work to support and build up folks in our community. And the purpose of the visit was kind of to touch base, to connect folks, right? Because I had made their acquaintance previously, but we hadn't had a ability to really like go into deep conversation or really connect. And so it was kind of a opportunity to connect more deeply, and also to kind of touch base on the work that they're doing now to build folks up in the community, and to let them know, hey, we also have some ideas about things that we're wanting to do for the community, with the community, and we want to figure out, how to go about doing that. And so we kind of invited that person to advise and to give us game and to let us know just different stuff, right? Like to engage with the ideas on a very basic level, and even to participate, right, based on their level of comfort in helping us along. And so it was a really, really meaningful, dope check-in, meeting, conversation, dialogue. And then afterwards, our other team member who wasn't able to make it because they're super busy, working on all sorts of projects that they're doing in the community. We checked in with them, right, and kind of downloaded everything with them and said, hey, this is kind of where we're at, and what do you think about this? And so we had a really good conversation with us as well. But in our search for clarification in terms of what we're doing with our community building, right, with our community building efforts as this collective, that individual collective, and in thinking about integrating with, connecting with, working with additional individuals and organizations in the community to participate in some collective community building. One of the things that struck me was, hey, something that we're going to have to start being clear on is alignment. And so I've talked about alignment already. I've kind of done posts and videos and kind of had a theme that was focused on, hey, my quarterly reset that I did at the start of the year, and how I was working to get myself in alignment with my goals, priorities, vision for the future, identity, all that sort of stuff, all this different work that I've been doing. And so alignment has been an important function for me in figuring out how I'm approaching everything from relationships, right, interpersonal relationships, to community building efforts, to working with this collective on the different projects that we're doing, to, all sorts of stuff, right? Like alignment in my life is huge. Hey, does this align with where I'm trying to be and with my values and stuff like that? No. With the life that I'm living? No, not necessarily. Okay, cool. Maybe it's not for me. And so that same principle, I think, came up for me as I'm having these conversations with folks about community building specifically. And I think I might have remarked on this previously, but I'm not sure. But that's why I wanted to take the time to get the reflection out about alignment in community building. So there are many different people doing tons of great work in my local community who have been engaged in this work for, like I said, the person we went to talk to has been doing it for more than 2 decades here. I've only been in the state of Oregon for, I think, like 10 or maybe coming up on 11 years. And having moved around in different areas of the state, I've not, right. I don't have the same pedigree, the same resume in one individual place like some of the folks who've been doing stuff. And as much as I platform and have respect for and value the work that they've done, there's people who have done stuff who have been here less time, right? Who have been here around the same amount of time as me, and everybody in between. And everybody kind of has a role. When I talk about alignment is with all these different things, this is the very specific thing that I'm gonna have to work to figure out as I am wanting to participate in really enhancing the connections between individuals and communities and organizations, supporting and uplifting Black communities specifically. There are so many things happening, so many organizations, so many people doing so many different things, that the idea of collecting around a shared vision of what building communities together means, I think is going to be pretty challenging. As I was having those different conversations, I thought about my previous experience living in Southern Oregon and the work that I kind of participated in that led to folks starting an organization that has really blown up and done a lot of amazing stuff down in Southern Oregon. And I kept thinking to myself as I moved up here that, oh, maybe they have a blueprint that we can kind of follow. Maybe they have some guideline that we can follow and use to apply here to help us to be successful. And the more I think about it, I'm like, well, I think one of the reasons it worked really well there is maybe there weren't as many different things focused on that similar idea of building a Black community. There weren't as many of those things available. I'm not saying there wasn't any, but I'm just saying like there was a bit of a vacuum or a lot of space for something like that to come in and for folks to collect around, right? To engage in and to be invested in, because then it meant, it made sense for them. And so I think about trying to apply it here and I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work, because to then start some new organization, and let me not get ahead of myself and saying what's not gonna work. I just think it's different. I know that the setting is different, the environment is different, the community is different, and that there are many people who are doing different things. And so I think what will be difficult is trying to get those folks to invest in this thing in a way that feels like it's mutually beneficial, right? That it's not, hey, I appreciate what you've been doing, but this is the right way. Like that's not it at all. I want what we can create, what we can co-create, to be something sustainable, something that's thriving, something that's beautiful, something that is an outgrowth of and a building on of all of the different disparate activities and work that people have been putting in. But I started with alignment, right? So like, what does alignment look like for those individuals, for those organizations, for us to be aligned with each other? And what came up, I digressed super hard, my bad. What came up in some of the conversations were things that, and it might not even been the recent conversation, it might have been one that preceded it, but conversation about what we're doing, like what I might be doing in a collective with other people in building community. And I think certain things that I have certainty around are kind of like, I thought about FUBU and Actively Black. FUBU, aka For Us By Us, is a Black company, a black clothing company, style company, right? Like that was really, really popular when I was growing up. I think maybe it was in the 90s, and it took the world by storm, right? Like it had a like kind of cult following. Like it was kind of one of those things like, oh, if you don't have FUBU, some kind of FUBU clothing, da 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 da. And it's literally for us, by us is the acronym. And Actively Black is another clothing company that's more recent, that was started more recently, right? Like within the last, we'll say 10 years, because I don't know the exact date when they started. But their whole deal is it's called Actively Black. It's for black people, right? It's for everybody. Everybody could wear FUBU as well. It's open to other people to utilize, but what they stand on, what their foundational values are, is that it is for black people. It is uplifting and supporting black people, right? Black community. And they have made efforts to both of those organizations to give back and to develop relationships to uplift black people, right? That's at the heart of what they do, each of those organizations. And so I'm like, what I'm trying to build in terms of community is like exactly like that, not clothing based, but I don't want it to be misconstrued who it's for. I don't ever want it to come into question who it's for. And so that's my goal, even if other people are engaging with it. And that's one of the bigger goals as well, because I don't want to silo ourselves off to be like, okay, it's us against everybody else. But I want to create a space that is like, hey, it is for us. The comparisons that I'm making, there's a lot of the comparison that comes up in the conversation that I've had with folks is we see other ethnic groups and cultural groups who are collecting around shared identity such as this, and there's not really like, we end up having complicated conversations around our doing a similar thing, right? Our as in black people, us as in black people doing a similar thing. What is wrong with us creating a thing that's focused on us and our shared identities, our shared history, our shared cultures, da 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 da. It's not exclusionary. It's not, hey, you can't come, or we're better than you, or anything like that. It's solely about uplifting the folks who are in this identity group and trying to move in a way that's going to be beneficial for everybody who has these identities. And is with the thought process that like us moving in concert with each other, or having more concerted effort, more perspective sharing, more collective action, and collective care for each other is going to spill out into the greater community anyway, right? Nobody who's in the group, in my eyes, nobody who's in the group is so disconnected and so divested, or us as the group rather, is so divested and disengaged with every other type of culture and identity and all that sort of stuff, where it's solely black. There are black disabled folks in this community. There are black elders. There are black youth. There are biracial and multiracial folks in this group who have, right, like multiple different identities, black and white or Irish or whatever, right? Like whatever their particular cultural background is. You have black and Mexican, you have black and, right? Like there's a ton of folks. And so even with the folks who have black identity and they're like, yeah, no, I'm black. I'm black Creole, I'm black Chicagoan, I'm black, whatever. They also have connections to, they have family members, in-laws, spouses and partners and friends and business partners and people who they are in relationship with, who have these different identities that are some connection to black or not black at all. And so it doesn't mean a removal of those connections. It doesn't mean a pasting over, a drawing a hard line, a cutting off of other people. It is solely focused on, hey, let's do for us, by us. And then we will have spaces where we're able to focus on, hey, what are the issues that we're facing internally and externally? What are we doing together in order to face those issues? How can we partner with these other folks and collaborate with these other folks to address our issues? Where can we find common ground with folks in other groups and then work collectively to address those issues, right? They're our cousins, our brothers are, right? They're our family too. And sometimes you have a conversation that's like insular, and other times you have a more open and broader conversation. And alignment for me means sticking to that. Like that's like the base level, is agreeing to that. And my thought process about this was, Black identity is, to me, is descendants from the Black African diaspora. Okay. That is your ticket. That is your admission. That is your engagement level. Okay. Identifying and living your life and having connection to, and whether that connection is strained or one that you need to grow, but you have Black identity, some Black heritage and identity that you are living and engaging with. Even for folks who have that Black identity, for me, I'm like, I'm not trying to exclude anybody, but knowing that there's a diverse population of people who share those identities, I know that there's people who have different values, different beliefs, and are wanting to enforce barriers in their own lives about who should be involved or who isn't or should not be. And for me, I'm like, you're all invited based on that that context, right? That shared identity. The only way you disinvite yourself is by becoming the person who's trying to enforce barriers about who is Black or who is not Black, or who is the right kind of Black or who is not the right kind of Black. That's the only way you disinvite yourself. I'm not going to say you can't come. But if we can't agree that when you come into the space, it's like all Black people are welcome, right? And some of the stuff we actually have to navigate very carefully. I thought about this as well. There's, segments of our population that have done serious harm, right? Segments of the Black community locally and just overall who have done serious harm internally, externally, to others, just in general, to others. And part of it is also navigating that. So those folks might be welcome and allowed to engage, right? But engage with reference to and with reverence to, with respect for the harm that was caused. Some harm is like, hey, no matter what you do or say, what actions you take, it will never reduce or heal or restore from the harm you did. And so there's natural consequences. I'm not going to dive into what that looks like for this identity, this person, this type of harm, all that sort of stuff. But when I say we're all a community, that is with respect to people who have committed harm, folks who have been harmed, everybody in between. Okay. And so we have to create space for restoration and healing to happen, for folks to feel welcome and feel able to engage in some way. So we're not like throwing people away, but also it's like, hey, it's a balance. We can't uplift platforms, say, hey, we're doing this stuff for these folks who have these identities, and they are, their actions, their behaviors have been super harmful to these other people. Then we're right. If we do this and say, okay, these other folks are excluded, then we're saying, okay, well, some folks can not be in there. So we have to still be active in the process of navigating that sort of stuff. But that's where, again, I keep digressing because I'm taking these different pieces, but alignment is so important, because if we start thinking, okay, these people belong and these other people do not aligned with me, if we start shifting from kind of like that foundational mission of it being for us and by us, and it starts being for everyone, right? If we start doing the for everyone, and we start catering to identities that and focusing on identities that are extension to or connection to blackness versus the black identity, then I think we're losing the plot, and then there's a loss of alignment for me. And so it's gonna be really, really hard work. I'm thinking about it a lot. I'm thinking about the type of conversations that we're gonna have to have, the type of dialogue, the type of town halls, the type of work we're gonna have to do, even just to get folks across a line of reservation, right? Across a line of hesitation to be even willing to think or believe. And so I think if a strong enough group, a strong enough collective of folks agree to that and then start working in it and continue to build up this space, this community, this environment that is based on connection, collaboration, collective action, respect, healing, restoration, thriving, sustainability, all of that good stuff, that we're going to build, and we're going to keep inviting and keep looking for the connection with folks. Because some folks are going to be hesitant and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want that to be the thing that's holding us back. Hey, it's so hard to do this. It's so hard to achieve this. How are we going to do it? And all of these efforts have been tried before. And this person tried this years ago. And this is what this administration is. And this is what right? There's always going to be limitations or reasons why it's hard to do. But if it's important to do, which I believe it is, if it's important to do, we got to do it. Right? So, yeah, man, I thought about alignment for me, making sure I'm aligned in the approach that I'm having, trying to be real clear about it, trying to make sure I'm bringing it up again, right? Hey, let's revisit that expectation. Let's make sure we're on the same page as we're moving forward, as we're starting to do stuff, as we're starting to grow, as we're starting to engage on a greater level and all that sort of stuff, as we're starting to make moves and we're starting to communicate with folks about what we're doing. Do we have the right people connected? I'm like, hey, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure we're talking to people. Let's make sure we are creating avenues for greater engagement. Let's if we want it to be equitable and egalitarian, how do we do that? Do we do a board, a committee? There's some concerns and reservations about doing that. Hey, we got enough of those. We've had a bunch of those. Maybe that's not the way or the style that we want to approach it with. But how do we navigate so that we can still do it in a focused way, right? That is not reinforcing kind of like supremacist and like oppressive ways of working in collectives, right? Where the many are relying on the decisions of a few, and then that dynamic maybe shifts, right? So making sure we do it in a way that's like, hey, the moves are for the collective, the moves are for, and we're engaging with folks and communicating with folks and making sure we're doing this in a way that actually feels good. And again, goes back to what I said before, feels mutually beneficial. It might not be monetary gain, it might not be, but like when we talk about investment, there's like spirit power, there's money, there's connection, there's supporting your business, supporting the education of the youth, supporting, right? There's all of these different pieces and concepts and parts and factors and dimensions of what benefit looks like. And it will look different based on who's in there. If you have somebody who's engaged but affluent, maybe their monetary gain isn't the same as somebody who needs more of the help and supports. You get what I'm saying? So it's big stuff, big dreaming, big visioning. But I'm excited about it. I'm glad that there's a lot of positive energy from folks, both folks who have been here doing the work for a long time and folks like me who are maybe a little bit newer to the area, but who are like gung-ho, who have energy about bringing folks together, and folks who are across the spectrum, across the board, who are like, hey, the youth, the young people, the young adults, the children are going to be the people who are in the leadership positions. So a lot of the folks are saying, hey, we need to make sure we are finding ways to uplift and empower youth, young people, new voices, to be a part of this as well. And so I feel great about the conversations that I'm having. I'm excited. Sometimes it feels daunting to think about the size and the scale of what I'm hoping to accomplish, what I'm hoping to do, and co-create with folks. But that's also an exciting part of it, because I can think of myself in 20 years and I'm like, oh man, what can we do in that time when I am like an elder, right? In that regard, I'm already, they say unk and this, that, and the other. I'm fully cool with it. I love a young blood. Come here, let me holler at you for a second. I'm cool with that. But yeah, what can be accomplished over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more in this community. And I'm excited about the possibility and doing the work and engaging and connecting and building relationship with folks. So alignment will be key to this entire process, and checking in with the alignment, right? How am I driving? How is this going? How does this look? Are we aligned? Looking at game tape, game footage from my athletes and stuff like that. Like, oh, what is your form looking like? What are your goals? Are you revisiting your goals? Or do you have them up in front of you? Once you achieve them, how are you looking to expand on those? So I wanted to share that with you all, with folks who are also building community, who have successfully built communities, who are doing this same work. I do not want to reinvent the wheel. I still want to pick up game from other people who have done it successfully, or who are excited to engage in the process, engage in the work of doing it. So if that's you, if you're doing it, if you have done it, if you are excited about the possibility of what this looks like and what this feels like in Oregon, in the Mid-Willamette Valley, like I'm in, or if you're elsewhere and you are like, oh yeah, that's dope. Are y'all thinking about this? Have y'all done this? Here's some tips, here's some resources, that sort of stuff. Let me know. Talk to me. If you just have encouraging words or motivational words, let me know that as well. So it's going to be a collective action to take collective agency to build a collective community, right? And so the other part of that in terms of alignment is making sure that the collective does not replace the individual. It is a symbiotic relationship. We do not become the forest and forget our trees. You get what I'm saying? So I think that sounded dope. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm always telling my son, like, oh yeah, leave on a high note. Don't keep trying to work at it, because then you dig what I'm saying? So anyway, check it out down in the comments. Make sure you check out the other things that we're doing over at wholelotofenterprises.com. If you want to support the work that we're doing with the business, the stuff that I'm doing with the community, check out my Patreon, Whole Lotta Community, right? Spelled the same way. Lotta, Lotta community, Whole Lotta Community, on Patreon, and subscribe. You can be a free member. And if you really, really want to show your support, right, consider signing up for one of the paid subscriptions. But until next time, stay tuned. There's going to be more of these stories coming. I'm excited to share them with you. So until next time, sa. Peace.